Welcome to week 5 of this NFL regular season. It is just after 11 a.m. on the 5th of October here on a Sunday. I'm Bobby Trosset. As always, this is where I bring you Baltimore sports and beyond. It is Texans, it is Ravens, in right around 2 hours from right now from the bank. 2 1-3 teams, 2 teams that are desperate, and they are desperately searching for their second wins of the season. For the Ravens, of course, no Lamar Jackson for the first time this season. He has been ruled out with, of course, a hamstring. And maybe we won't see him until after the bye week. That remains to be seen. It's Texans today. It's Rams at home. It's a very early week 7 bye. And then they'll have the Chicago Bears coming out of week 7 into week 8, which is also a home game. There's a lot at stake today. Not telling you guys anything you don't already know about this Ravens organization. Like most, without their QB1, they fall off, and they fall off significantly. Since 2020, the Ravens averaged 6.1 yards per play when Lamar's on the field. That's tied for first in the National Football League. And when he isn't playing, that number drops to 4.9 yards per play, which is tied for 30th in the NFL. And my goodness, how things have changed in recent weeks. I think we all remember what the AFC North looked like 5 weeks ago, right? Joe Burrow, of course, was starting in Cincinnati before going down with that turf toe. Joe Flacco, of course, was in Cleveland. Lamar was in Baltimore. And Aaron Rodgers was and still is the starting quarterback for right now, barring anything unforeseen. My favorite line out there, health-wise, Aaron Rodgers is the only quarterback that sets the start week 5 who was also starting 5 weeks ago. It'll be Jake Browning for Cincinnati this week. Dillon Gabriel and the Cleveland Browns are playing right now from London. It's 10-7 at the half. Carson Wentz looks like he injured his shoulder there in the second quarter, so that'll be something to watch. Cleveland's also a 1-3 team, and that game is being played in London. But yeah, a lot has changed, and Cooper Rush will be QB1 today in Baltimore. And luckily for the Ravens, this is a quarterback that, let's be clear, they went out and got him for a reason in free agency. He's somebody that has a track record, subbing in for an injured Dak Prescott in recent years in Dallas. And the record shows that he is capable of managing a team to victory, of being somebody that is capable. He's 9-5 in 14 career starts as a Cowboy, a completion percentage of 60.7 in those games. He's thrown for over 3,400 passing yards, 20 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. And yes, he is now in line to keep Baltimore's sinking ship above water. Now, let's be honest here. Cooper does not have the mobility that Tyler Huntley does, who will serve as QB2, and he certainly doesn't have the mobility that Lamar Jackson has. And because of that, they will have a different scheme. They will have a different game plan that's incorporated and built specifically designed for Cooper and his skill set. He caught up with the media this week.
Franchise QB goes down. It's always sky is falling feeling everywhere you are. And it's normal. And, you know, if you have to go out there on Sunday and do what you got to do, and it's nice knowing you had a whole week to prep for it. So things like that are good. Yeah, just go be yourself. You're here for a reason. You're in this league for a reason. There's no mistakes in this league about guys that are out there. And so you trust yourself, you remind yourself you're a football player, this is what you do, and you have a blast doing it.
In comes Cooper Rush. Again, you see the record, but what you also see is what our eyes are telling us. The first 4 weeks, this is a Ravens team that not only has underperformed really in all 3 categories, but is a team that is decimated right now by injury. And so it will be a tall task for Cooper and company to get the job done. And he is going to need both phases, defense and special teams, to handle their side of the bargain here if they want to walk away and improve to 2-3 in a few hours from now. Guys, Lamar was sacked 15 times in his first 4 games of the season. He was sacked 23 all of last year. This has been an offensive line that is not held up, that is banged up. Ronnie Stanley, I get the sense, will try to give it a go today, even though that ankle clearly plagued him last week in Kansas City. That thrust Joe Noteboom into starting left tackle position, or I should say in relief of Ronnie in the second half there. You saw a good chunk of Joe Noteboom. You've also seen really subpar play from the guards this year. They are not strong enough at the point of attack. They are not knocking bodies back. And quite frankly, they're not protecting the quarterback, even with someone as gifted as Lamar is in terms of his ability to mask certain deficiencies, right? To minimize certain weaknesses up and down this offensive line. Roger Rosengarten, whether it's the tape or the statistics so far through 4 weeks, the way he's graded out suggests that he has regressed. Whether or not that's more about who's his running mate and Daniel Fa'alele, I don't know. Tyler Linderbaum is playing below his standards. So it has not been good at all. And for Cooper Rush, you got to get the ball out of your hand quickly today. And I think the Ravens will have a concerted game plan, make a concerted effort to not only get the ball out of his hand quickly in the quick game, but get the ball to the king. Guys, Derrick Henry has been misused so far through 4 weeks. Quite frankly, underutilized. At the same time, he himself has played well below what his standard of excellence is. He's coughed the ball up 3 times so far through 4 weeks, 2 of which have been backbreaking. But he himself has been the backbreaker against Houston in 15 career games. Look at what he's done against the Texans. 280 carries is our sample size. Over 1,500 rushing yards has been tallied up over those carries. That's good for 5.6 yards per carry. And guys, this is an insane number. 13 touchdowns in 15 career games against the Texans. And we saw, by the way, one of those on Christmas Day last year when they went into Houston on Netflix week 17 and embarrassed the Texans on their home turf. The King led the way, 27 carries for 147 yards, 5.4 yards per attempt, a touchdown. And yes, the Ravens boat raced him that day, 31-2. 31-2. It's going to be very different today. I think you guys have already seen my prediction. If you caught Friday's Vault edition, I've got 26-21 Texans over the Ravens today. I can't quite, with a clear conscience, pick the Ravens after what I've seen on film so far through 4 weeks, knowing what they're dealing with on top of the deficiencies from an availability perspective. The King, like I said, has been underutilized. 49 carries so far this season, ranks 24th, tied for 24th. Yet his 284 rushing yards rank 8th league-wide. His 3 rushing touchdowns rank tied for 6th. And his 4 yards of 20 yards or more, his 4 rushes, I should say, of 20 yards or more ranks tied for 1st. Let the King be the King. A Texans personality quote tweeted one of my Derrick Henry tweets this week. And they wrote, Derrick Henry in 3 games against DeMeco Ryans as Texans head coach, making the point without actually coming out and saying it, that since DeMeco got to Houston and took over as head coach, they've actually kept him in check. If you take away, of course, the embarrassment, right, that they were handed on Christmas, like I just mentioned this past week. 55 carries over 3 games is the sample size, 198 rushing yards, 3.6 yards per carry, and 2 touchdowns. That's what the Houston way of, I guess, feeling better about looking at the 15-game sample size as a whole is. And hey, that's not to downplay whatsoever DeMeco Ryans' impact. I know he's a stellar defensive coach, and I know these Houston Texans come in as the number 1 scoring defense. So I get it. But I also get that if you can get Derrick Henry going downhill and running north to south, and you can get him going early, even if they're selling out to stop the run, That's going to make them respect other areas of the game. And I think Cooper Rush will be a great complement today to Derek's Thunder. And oh, by the way, speaking of Thunder, you can't talk about Thunder without talking about lightning. And guys, the lightning strike himself is expected to be active today for the first time this season. That's Keaton Mitchell, the former undrafted rookie running back. He told us this during our draft coverage back in April on the Vault. Keaton, talk to us.
Came back, I felt good. I was practicing, came back practicing. I was actually like doing real good in practice, like crazy, like feeling good. Breaking a couple runs. So they threw me out there on kickoff return. I guess they didn't want me to rush back and just give me the load. Obviously, you got Derrick Henry and Justice Hill, great running backs. So it wasn't really no need to rush me back, but they thought I could make a difference on special teams. So came back and tried to do that, did the best I could do. But now I got some time off to be able to really take care of my knee and do the things to get back to my normal self. Now I feel 100% back to my old self, running with the guys, full speed. It's gonna be a movie this year for sure.
It's going to be a movie this year for sure. Keaton Mitchell told us that back in April. And you heard the man. Got some time off to be able to really take care of my knee and do the things to get back to my normal self. Now I feel 100% back to my old self, running with the guys full speed. He clocked, by the way, over the summer over 20 miles an hour for the first time since pre-ACL tear. And, of course, you see the emboldened words there that he told us that day. Nah, it's going to be a movie this year for sure. That was 15 months removed from a very serious knee injury against the Jacksonville Jaguars in December of 2023. He is not yet 2 years removed from it. But being that he's had an entire full offseason to thoroughly go through his rehab, and now he's had 4 weeks to sit and I'm sure get more and more antsy as the weeks go on. I don't know how many opportunities Todd Monken and this Ravens offensive staff are going to give to Keaton today, but I do know that he is the lightning strike to Derrick Henry's thunderbolt, and if you can use him in any kind of way today, the Ravens are going to be better for it. I don't care if it's in the screen game. I don't care if it's misdirection stuff where he's not even directly involved in the play. Get Keaton out there and let the cat out the bag, man. He is rolling. I get the sense that he is going to be fired up to be back out there for the first time today, knowing how long of a wait it's been, knowing some of the patience that he's had to exercise throughout this process. I'll go back to a September 28th tweet of his, right? Not long after being inactive for a second or third consecutive week. I think this would have been a week ago, right? Or around there or so. And he said, God's timing with an hourglass emoji, hashtag stay down. You don't need to stay down any longer, young fella. It's time to stand up because it's your time. Keaton Mitchell, again, expected to be active for the first time this season against the Texans. Jeremy Fowler reporting that yesterday. If you're wondering what the practice squad activations have been, Tyler Huntley is up, of course. He will serve as QB2 to Cooper Rush. And CJ Okoye will be a defensive tackle practice squad activation here on game day. We will see the rest of the inactives. Most of them are not going to be much of a surprise, to be honest with you, because there are a lot of players that will be up and have to be up today, given their injury situation. Kind of like Jair Alexander, perhaps making his reappearance to the program into the defensive lineup for the first time since week 1, where he played 30% of the snaps in his debut as a Raven. Zach Orr spoke about the ongoing timetable for Jair earlier this week.
He's getting close. I'm saying that he's getting close. I think he's stacked a good couple weeks of practice. You can see that he's getting his swagger back, like I said last week, and that's continued to trend upward. So when he's fully ready, he'll know, and they'll let us know, and we'll be ready for him, and he'll play great football for us.
Oh, well, we'll see. That sure is the hope that he'll play good football for the Ravens. It was not good football on his first game back after the PCL tear and the knee drain and everything that took place for Jair this past offseason and what led to the departure from Green Bay after the two sides could not work out a restructured contract. Look, am I expecting a lot from Jair Alexander today? No, but I am expecting him to be active. This is a secondary that is beat up, and the Ravens have got to dig deep in a number of different areas defensively today, knowing what they're dealing with. I know the offensive side of the ball is stealing all the headlines with no Lamar, and Ronnie's banged up, and Pat Ricard, of course, will miss his fifth consecutive game. By the way, speaking of Ricard, that's something that Mina Kimes spoke about earlier this week on NFL Live. And I think as much as we, from a day-to-day basis, probably haven't swept what the significance of his loss means to this run game and the overall offense, I think maybe some on the national side have, right, as it relates to trying to explain what's become inexplicable, just how pedestrian this offense has looked at times. I know they're still top 3 in scoring offenses through 4 weeks, but we know the rushing attack has looked night and day from what it typically is, as it looks like Minnesota reaches the end zone in London. So they're about to go up 14-10 here in the third quarter from Tottenham. We'll see if Cleveland can hang on. Dylan Gabriel getting his first start as a Cleveland Brown in London. Listen to Mina Kimes.
Disagree that they shouldn't be running more. I think part of the issue is they're not running it well. They're not efficient at all. And I've been kind of trying to figure out why, Marcus, and some of the reasons for that. And there's a litany of it. I don't think they're blocking quite the way that they used to. I think the Ricard absence is huge. The more I went back and watched some of those runs, and it not only is it big in the run game, but I also think it's affecting their passing game, not as a pass catcher, but going back last year when they had Ricard on the field, so when they were in 20, 21, 22 personnel, 2 backs, they had a 69% play action rate. If you're looking at this offense now and you're wondering why aren't they play actioning as much as they used to, and this was the case in the Chiefs game even before it got out of hand, I really think they usually get to a lot of their play action concepts with Ricard on the field. And it seems like removing him from this formula has sort of gotten them all out of sorts with their personnel groupings and their tendencies out of it. And I say that not to say that it's not fixable. It is. It just feels like they have to alter their offense now and accept that they live in a new reality without having 2 running backs on the field the way they did in the last few years.
It's not a reality that I think any of us have expected to see coming at this point in the season, but it is the Ravens' reality right now. They have not yet gotten Derrick Henry going for consecutive weeks. Of course, week 1 was widely successful until the fourth quarter, but the last several weeks, whether it be this sellout to stop the run or in what's most inexplicable of them all, just simply going away from Derrick Henry, they have not been able to call on or find the 2024 version, aside from really the first 3 quarters and a handful of others. Of course, Detroit, he had some opportunities, but they just have not quite. And I should say the opening drive, of course, where they were dominant and methodical in Kansas City before things went south last Sunday. But this is it's twofold, right? It's one, what part of it is what other defenses are doing and playing great disciplined football, especially in terms of the containment of Lamar Jackson. I think it has more to do with the lack of pass pro and sturdiness with this offensive line. But then the other component of it is the utilization or lack thereof of Derrick, the misusage. I have these numbers up on the screen. It had Marcus Spears red in the face earlier this week on NFL Live. Listen to this.
In this doing. I really don't. There is a tremendous amount of evidence that if you let Derrick Henry dictate games, this offense works better. Yeah. And him and Lamar dictating games with whether it's sleight of hand or whatever. Look at this on the season. 48 carries, 49 carries, tied for 24. He's 8th in rush yards on those limited carries. He's tied for 6th with touchdowns and 20-yard rushes 4, tied for 1st. And we left a game against the Kansas City Chiefs with 8 total carries in a game for Derrick Henry. Now, This has been a part before Derrick Henry showed up. Y'all know I almost lost my damn mind about the AFC Championship game.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the number of runs that the backs had as the number one rushing team in the league that season. So again, go ahead.
Do you think or expect it to be different once Likely's back consistently and Ricard comes back?
But Dan, I understand that, and I agree with you on that. But what's your best formula right now? You have to play for what's going on.
Right.
You got 7 people injured on defense, and you consistently want to push the ball down the field.
And you're not winning.
And you're not winning doing that. So again, I understand the draw to want Lamar to make plays and push the ball down the field. You did not sign this man to be tied for 24th in carries 5 weeks into the season. And if his career wasn't made on volume, we wouldn't have this argument. He gets better the more touches he has. That's been the case since he showed up.
Yes, it has. Somehow, some way, Derrick Henry becomes younger, more spry, more impactful as the game goes along. That's one of his greatest traits, and that's how he's still withstood the test of time on the other side of 30 as one of the greats of all time in this league. Marcus Spears, quote, "There's a tremendous amount of evidence, as you just heard, that if you let Derrick Henry dictate games, this offense works better. You did not sign this man to be tied for 24th in carries 5 weeks into the season." 4, he meant 4 weeks. We've reached week 5 now, and that better not be the case after today. Look, man, you got to get him at least 20 carries today. You have to. If his career wasn't made on volume, we wouldn't have this argument. He gets better the more touches he has. That from Marcus Spears. This from Dan Orlovsky, who pulled no punches in terms of what he's seen from this Ravens organization through 4 weeks of football.
They're broken. They look nothing like they have been in the past. This is the most unprepared Ravens team I've seen in years, this past game against Kansas City. That's 4 days ago. Spin it forward, okay? This is a must-win for Baltimore.
Has to.
It must win. You're playing a team that's 1-3. They are mightily struggling on the offensive line. And here's my thing about Baltimore. All of us, and I don't think it was hyperbolic, said this was the most talented roster in the AFC. Play like it. Play like it. I understand Lamar may not play. You still have, or should have, one of the best offensive lines in football. You got a really good receiving core. You got 2 really good tight ends. You got a Hall of Famer at running back. By the way, hand him the friggin' ball.
Yeah.
No team runs the ball less on 1st and 2nd down to their running backs than Baltimore. Make that make sense. And defensively, play physical at some point. This was an organization, a football team that used to beat you up when you played them. You know that. It was like a fist fight. Yeah. Nowadays, I watch them like, good God.
Handle business.
Understand Lamar. Get 2 wins and then make a decision on them.
Yeah, get 2 wins. Look, I get it. This is a Houston team that doesn't exactly scare anybody, but as much as I love Dan, getting 2 wins with the state of particularly this defense and now knowing that Cooper Rush is in under center, that doesn't exactly happen overnight. You know, it's not like a snap of the finger there that can just easily be converted. Look, this is a defense in Houston that is firing on all cylinders, and they got a lot of talent. At least a duo, really, not a duo in each level. Okay, I think that's really up front, the household names that are Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. But, you know, Azeez Al-Shaair in the middle part, level 2, he's a thumper. And then on the back end, I mean, Derek Stingley Jr., you can probably put him up against anybody and make the argument that he is CB1 league-wide. Pat Surtain would have something to say about that. But, you know, certainly Lassiter and Petrie are 2 impact players for them defensively. And you look at where this defense ranks so far through 4 weeks under DeMeco Ryans, fifth overall in total defense. Okay, they're allowing just over 280 yards per game. They're 12th against the run. They give up just over 102 yards per game in that category. They're 7th against the pass, 178.3. They're the first scoring defense, 12.8. They're holding their opponents to so far through 4 weeks. 13th on 3rd down, 10th on 4th down, and 24th in the red zone. And that's where the Ravens have just, quite frankly, not been good enough whatsoever inside the 20. And, I see some of you talking about their playmakers on the offensive side of the ball saying to yourself, look, I don't care about how pedestrian they rank and look offensively. They still have playmakers out there. Nico Collins is garnering some traction right now in the live chat, as he should be. He's an absolute dynamic beast for them. You forget that Christian Kirk plays for this team. He's had a great career. And they have a 1-2 punch going on right now at running back that got going last week. And granted, it's the Titans. I get it. But Woody Marks, the young buck, and Nick Chubb, who the Ravens are very familiar with from his time in Cleveland, they've had some success early in this young season. And obviously, C.J. Stroud is struggling. I think a lot of that based on what we don't watch the Texans on a daily basis, but in chatting with John McClain, holy hell, did Judkins who just tried to hurdle a player? That was insane. Is that Njoku? I'm watching the London game in the distance in my living room. This is just an insane play. Yeah, it is. Is that Njoku? Oh, that's incredible. Help me out here, live chat, because I don't have the game is muted for me right now. Is that Njoku? Who's 95 for Cleveland? 85. That's insane. Oh my God. Browns are driving right now. Dylan Gabriel and the Browns trying to go up. Yeah, they're moving the ball at ease, honestly. The inactives are out. Thank you, Dre Dog. Let's get to them. But that caught my eye across the living room. That was insane. Inactives are coming up. Let's go to instant reaction. And while I get that queued up, a brief word from my friends at ProfitX, the sponsor of today's game day episode.
The NFL is back, and with ProfitX, you don't just play. You trade, call your own shots, and outsmart the crowd. It's not you versus the house. It's you versus everyone else on America's #1 sports prediction market. Request your own odds and win real money predicting spreads, totals, and player props so you can earn more and risk less. Play free, play smart, play your way with ProfitX.co. Available in over 40 states. Now available on Apple and Android.
Oh boy, that gave me 30 seconds to go look at today's inactives, and you guys are not going to like the way this list looks. But first, let me just tell you, if you go to ProfitX.co and you use promo code BobbyB, that's BOBBYB, you'll get up to $200 in profit cash on all your plays for the first 30 days. Enjoy. It's week 5. ProfitX.co, promo code BobbyB. Thanks to ProfitX for the continued support of the channel. My, oh my. The biggest domino that I wasn't sure about whether or not it was going to fall or stand up going into today was Kyle Hamilton, who was listed as questionable with the groin on Friday. He has now been ruled out, and that is a big deal because Roquan Smith, as we've known for days now, has also been ruled out. The full list of inactives today: Roquan, Cheeto, Lamar, Kyle, Ricard, Marlowe, and Ronnie. Oh, good God. Jair Alexander will be active for the first time since week 1. Tyler Linderbaum will be good to go at center. Nate Wiggins will be out there in the secondary. They're going to be leaning on the likes of TJ Tampa and Keon Martin and the aforementioned Jair Alexander. They'll be going with Malachi Starks and Sanusi Kane and the undrafted rookie Ruben Lowry at safety. This is even more slim pickings than maybe we initially thought a couple days ago. I thought that one of the two between Kyle and Ronnie would be able to go and give it a go, but that's not the case. Both Ronnie Stanley and Kyle Hamilton have been ruled out of this game. And this right here is about as bare bones as it gets, guys. I don't even think digging deep begins to describe what the Ravens need today out of the players that actually are available. And what they need most importantly from Cooper Rush, who is essentially tasked with the impossible. They are down 7 Pro Bowl players. Nnamdi Madubuike is done for the year. Broderick Washington is down for the next 3 weeks. Short-term injured reserve, and I should say at least the next 3 weeks. You've got your defensive signal caller and Roquan Smith, who is down. And the next man up in terms of the green dot wearing communication device, Cleveland reaches the end zone, by the way. So now they're about to go up by a field goal in London. Njoku, what a drive for Njoku. But yeah, this is dire. This is about as dire as it gets. And I already mentioned some of the players that they're going to be leaning on really in every single phase. Keaton Mitchell will be making his 2025 season debut. He is active for the first time. And just to think about how short they are right now, shorthanded they are at corner, okay, knowing that Jair, Keon, TJ, and Nate are your only healthy corners. It's just scary. It's a scary place to be in going into a must-win game. This is an injury list that has a bunch of starters, a bunch of key cogs. And now I would think the green dot communication device will be worn by a rookie. And I would think that Teddy Buchanan, who could very well be starting alongside Trenton Simpson today, will get the opportunity in his 5th career game with no Roquan Smith to essentially lead this defense as the starting linebacker. We're going to learn a lot about the resilience. We're going to learn a lot about the depth and a lot about the pride of this organization over the next few hours because, again, the odds are stacked against them significantly. The guest lines are open. I would love to hear your thoughts now that the inactives are out. Tom, I don't think Trenton's going to have the green dot communication device. I could be wrong on that. I would think it's going to be Teddy. I think they have more trust in Teddy. Perhaps it's Malachi. I think both of those guys, Teddy and Malachi, got some run over the summer. But yeah, this is something else. Dre Dog hit me with a super chat earlier. Hey, Bobby, is everything okay? Your energy seems off. Everything's great until the inactives came out. Appreciate you for being here, Dre. And thank you guys for being here. Like the video on your way in. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Consider becoming a channel member. Guys, they're going to need heroic efforts from guys like Tavius Robinson. Travis Jones will be healthy, or I should say will be up today. Weren't sure what you were going to get out of him, even though there wasn't an injury designation listed next to his name on Friday with that knee. He's somebody that's been hobbling around, been banged up. You know, it's interesting. There's a bunch of different ways to look at this. One, when you see an inactive list like this, the first thing you think of is, wow, who are they going to lean on today? But then the second part is like, wow, I hope they stay healthy in game. Like, it's about getting through this game. That's how slim pickings, bare bones they are from a roster construction standpoint right now. No Roquan, no Cheeto, no Lamar, no Kyle, no Ricard, no Marlowe, no Ronnie. Those are your inactives today. Guys, Cam Newton made some headlines at the end of last week when he learned that Lamar would not go, or at least I guess at the time was not expected to go. And now we know that is the case, right? That Lamar will miss his first game of the 2025 season. And I thought Cam's comments were interesting. He's been observing the Ravens with and without Lamar. Obviously, in recent years, it's been with Lamar. We haven't seen Lamar down like this since 2022. The other absences of his were do what they were supposed to do, right? Locking up 1 seeds and being able to take off the regular season finale and rest your starters and things of that nature. But now it's a hamstring. And they are down and down significantly, which prompted Cam Newton to say this about what the Ravens are going to need from everybody besides Lamar that is actually healthy today against the Houston Texans.
One thing that I do know, I'm going to use this prefix word of breaking because they're at a breaking point in their season. Breaking is what I will continue to use because they're either going to break down or they're going to break out. And if they do not have Lamar Jackson in this particular game coming up, I think that will be a positive. And I say it in this way. it's almost like watching the Baltimore Ravens that they're waiting on everybody else to make the play. And that's including sometimes Lamar Jackson waiting on Derrick Henry to make a play. Hey, Derrick Henry's waiting on Zay Flowers to make a play. Hey, Zay Flowers is waiting on D-Hop to make a play. Hey, the defense is waiting on Jair Alexander to make a play. Hey, they're waiting on Nate Wiggins to make a play. Hey, they're waiting on everybody else to make a play outside of each individual making those plays. So I kind of share the same sentiment as RC, but the reality is it's like, when are we going to figure it out amongst ourselves as Baltimore Ravens players? And that's what everybody is waiting on. So if Lamar Jackson does not play, now it puts the onus on everybody to say, hey, we don't have the great Lamar Jackson. Everybody has to uphold their end of the bargain. And that type of play is what we've been waiting on all year.
You buying or selling Cam Newton's thoughts on where the Ravens stand right now without Lamar going into week 5? King Judah's on the guest line, hold line right now. And that reminds me, let everybody know, guest lines are open. The inactives list, as Sarah just tweeted, I think this is the right way to describe it. It's a doozy. Yes, it is. Getting your instant reactions to today's inactive list, which includes 6 Pro Bowl players, 7 starters, and that does not include Nnamdi Madubuike, whose year is done with a serious neck injury. Judah, talk to me, brother. Where are you at, man?
What's going on? Can you hear me?
Good to see you, dude.
Yeah, man, I'm at home, bro. Waiting on this game, but I think what I wanted to talk about first is that I'm convinced John Harbaugh is trying to sabotage Lamar Jackson. I know that sounds crazy on the surface, but I've been telling this to my closest friends, right? And they're like, why would a head coach sabotage his own player? You know, it puts his job at jeopardy. Now I was like, well, think about this. I said, for the last 2 or 3 years, this man's job has probably been on a hot seat, and they never got rid of him. Plus, he's the second longest 10-year coach in football history. I think in history. Well, I know for now, right? So it's like he has nothing to lose. He has nothing to lose. I don't know how much he's getting paid to do it, but he's sabotaging Lamar. Listen, why is it a coincidence that the moment Lamar Jackson can't go this season, you finally activate Keaton Mitchell? That's literally him saying, I know that we don't have the firepower to be competitive, so I'll make us competitive by playing Keaton instead of just playing Keaton with Lamar Jackson from the beginning. It's crazy, bro.
All right, hold on. I think that's I gotta be with. Let me just be clear. I feel like that's a conversation for another time. Can we keep it to the inactives?
Oh, okay, I got you.
I love you. Emotions.
I'm all about the controversy. But
look, emotions are running high right now. Their backs are against the wall. John is on the hot seat, clearly. The national side of things are starting to realize that. We've been covering it, I think, as thoroughly as you can, with fairness and with also objectivity in recent weeks. But keeping it, with all due respect, keeping it to the inactives for the time being, knowing that they now have a tall task in front of them, okay? 6 Pro Bowlers, 7 starters. That does not include Nnamdi. Look, and honestly, bringing it back to John Harbaugh right now, Judah, and I'll make this bigger so that we can see it.
Yeah,
this may go down if they can win today somehow, some way. I mean, you talk about a resume, not a legacy-defining win by any stretch, but if you can find a way to win, and I get it, Houston's looked very subpar through 4 weeks. You find a way to win today, we're going to be singing Harbaugh's praises at the end of the day. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. It'll be one of those things where, he got it done when he wasn't supposed to be able to. Because looking at this list, I mean, we're missing some cornerstones of this team right now. I mean, Roquan Smith is not there. And if we still would have had, a lot of people didn't like him, but if we still had Malik Harrison, he could have filled in with some run stopping. We don't have the type of linebackers. Because I like Buchanan, but I don't know if he can fill a gap the way Roquan and I even seen Malik Harrison do last season. We know Trenton Simpson doesn't do it. Chidobe Awuzie would have been our saving grace without Marlon Humphrey and without Alexander. But without him there, we're real weak there. Kyle Hamilton is gone. Patrick Ricard was a cornerstone. Ronnie Stanley won't be there to even protect Rush. This not looking good, bro. And speaking of Rush, real quick, I just wanted to say he needs to make me a believer, because I talked a lot of trash about DeAndre Hopkins and I was proven wrong. I hope Rush proves me wrong, but I think he's going to get destroyed today. And I hope he proves me wrong.
So there's one thing that I want to talk about. You just listed off all those names and a number of different realities that they're now faced with. What I'm going to be watching closely for the first couple defensive drives, knowing that they've already had alignment issues this year. They've had a little bit of communication issues, right? Not as much as last year, the first 10 weeks, right? What did everybody point to last year throughout the 10 weeks in terms of their deficiencies? It was the communication or lack thereof. It was a first-year defensive coordinator. It was two guys dogging it in a sense in Marcus Williams and Eddie Jackson, both of whom obviously are no longer with the organization for a reason. This year, it's simply put, 1, injuries, 2, inefficiency, and 3, a lack of execution. Not necessarily in that order. We can argue whatever the order would be. So today, opening up in that first defensive series, I want to see who's it going to be that's replacing the leadership, the direction, and the execution that Kyle Hamilton brings, that Roquan Smith brings. I know he's been very below standard in terms of what his standard is so far this year. He's looked a little slow, right? There's been issues for him for sure in some of his coverage. Yeah, they've picked on the middle part of the Ravens defense this year, and that includes Teddy Buchanan, by the way, who's going to make his well, okay. Where I'm going with this is, do you expect Teddy to wear the green dot device today?
I would hope so, because I'm hearing from Roquan that he has played linebacker his entire life, and that's good because that builds familiarity and it makes him smarter than the average rookie, right? But me personally, I'm looking for I have a surprise pick for somebody who I think has the most experience and probably could lead the team better, and I think that would be TJ Tampa. I think TJ Tampa probably has a better rapport with the players and understands the system a bit better. So between those two, I'm looking for those two definitely to be wearing the green dot.
I think it's a great point. I don't know if he's going to wear that, but in terms of his impact today, this is a guy that last year, his rookie season, the first part of it really got off to a rocky start because of the double sports hernia procedure that he underwent. Right. Now TJ finds himself at a point where, for the most part, he's popped in special teams, right? Now you're looking at a cornerback room that literally consists of Jair Alexander, TJ Tampa, Nate Wiggins, and Keon Martin. That's it. That is it. Everybody else is banged up or not available right now. And so you're not kidding. It's TJ's time, man. This is your time. He was a day 3 pick. They loved the value that they got. I think he was a 4th or 5th rounder, if memory serves, in 2024 out of Iowa State. And now it's his opportunity. This is a great opportunity for TJ Tampa to go out there, not play hero ball, play within the confines of this defense, show who you are, show why you were pissed off and spoke out about, a year ago dropping to where you did in the draft. It's time. It's his time. That's a great point.
Right. Well, yeah, man. All right, man. Thank you.
I'll catch up with you soon. And there will be a day where we'll have more conversations on your whole theory related to the sabotaging. Guest lines are open. Over 400 of you joining me on this Sunday morning. Hour and 10, hour and 15 or so away from kickoff. It's Houston. It's Baltimore at the bank. High 70s, no wind, no rain in the forecast. Beautiful day for Baltimore football and a must win. Clint, how we feeling about this one, brother? Oklahoma's finest. Good to see you, brother.
Hey, good to see you too, Bobby. How's Florida doing? It's hot as hell here.
I was going to say it's still cooking. I'm definitely getting a little nostalgic now that October peak foliage is starting to leak its way onto my social channels from everybody that I grew up with in the Northeast. But it's been a really fun first month and a few days, and I've already gotten back to Baltimore obviously once, and I'm going to Banff for bye week, as you've probably heard, in the next couple of weeks. So there's a lot to like here, and I think the dating scene, the romantic, the social scene, the fitness
going
scene,
easier.
All things that are fitting well for my lifestyle. So thanks for asking.
No problem. Awesome to hear it.
Yeah.
So getting down to this Sunday, how this game's going to go. I feel that for defensively, we have to be able to keep it simple, or needs to call a solid game where he's putting his players in position to win, and not just to win the game, but in position to beat the edge, keep their lane security going, doing those simple things and quit having guys freelance out there. Biggest problem I had with Jair Alexander in week 1 was he would decide, I know what route's going to happen. And then he'd be off entirely and he'd just be out in the middle of no man's land. So hopefully guys just keep it simple. They're rookies, young guys. That's what I think this defense is needed to do, because talent wise, even with Kyle Hamilton out, even we're needing bigger things from Starks, from Wiggins, from the young guys, but it's time for him to do it, like you said earlier. Not to mention the fact that these guys honestly have all the ways and means in the world to do it. It's purely and simply they need to be given the right strategies and now's their opportunity to prove that it's either the coaching, because the coaching should be earning their pay and their keep this week, or we need to go ahead and start switching things up, because really every team deals with injuries and you can't just decide like, all right, cool, we're hurt, therefore we can lose a few games with Lamar out, with Roquan out, with Ronnie out. That's one of those things like, no, you're an NFL team, you're professionals, everybody is paid every week to high money to be able to do these things that we expect out of them. And I know it's hard. That, these are all of them are the 0.001% of humanity, So I don't see injuries as any excuse. You just have to be able to mentally prepare yourself. And to me, football is the ultimate game of will. You have to will yourself forward when someone's trying to stop you. And that's what they need to do this week.
I love the message, Clint. I love it. This is very similar to the scenario that they were in, not at this point in the season, but in respective seasons 21 and 22. You're looking at a list that, if you look at the cap space that just occupies in Baltimore, led by Lamar, I mean, it's got to be damn near close to 50%, from a cap perspective. So, they are digging deep. They are going to be tested today, their resilience, their pride. And some of those things have been in question in recent weeks. Mark Andrews got up there this week and said everything he should have said and will continue to say as a leader of this team, as one of the leaders of this team. But unfortunately, fighters are not what I would use to describe this organization so far through 4 weeks. The body language has been putrid. The resiliency has not been on full display. The execution, obviously, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, has been piss poor. And it's got people saying things like this on the national level. Listen to this.
That when you know the injury that Lamar Jackson has right now, do you think you're more inclined to say the Ravens will or will not make the playoffs, RC?
I'm more inclined to say I don't care, and I think that's the biggest indictment on it all. Mm-hmm. When's the last time we didn't care about the Baltimore Ravens? When was the last time with Lamar Jackson, under John Harbaugh, that we weren't talking about this team being an AFC
Why though?
championship contender? Because this team is terrible. They just are. They're a bad football team. Marlon Humphrey is out for the year. Lamar Jackson, he's one of the best players in the world, who until last game was actually playing at a high level. And you only have a win against the Cleveland Browns. Who cares if they make the playoffs? They ain't going to win. We've watched this team and talked about this team year after year after year and said, this is their year. And it wasn't because Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City wasn't Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes, or that Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills weren't Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. It was that you were so good, so well coached, executed on game day, so well prepared, and had one of the greatest players in the world that could go above and beyond when you needed him to make a play. You were supposed to win a championship. This the year. And this how you show up? Your best players don't play? So I'm more inclined to say that they'll miss the playoffs than make them.
And just to clarify,
Cleveland's defense does it again. Meanwhile, in London, 14 minutes, opening minutes, I should say, of the fourth quarter. And it looks like they just got a fumble, a strip, and a recovery. So they're up 17-14 right now over the Vikings early on in that fourth quarter in London. But that's the type of dialogue that's happening, right? The type of questioning, essentially the lack of care, the lack of interest in this team. That's what they've made some on the national level feel like through 4 weeks, which is unheard of. And so if you're out there today Not that those comments mean anything to anybody within the walls of the organization, but they know what's being said.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're a Keon Martin, an undrafted tryout player that was brought in for minicamp, if you're Ruben Lowry, an undrafted rookie who's going to be playing meaningful snaps on the back end of this defense, if you're a Kyle Van Noy, right, still trying to prove in the aftermath of your hamstring that you still can rush the passer, set an edge, and be the guy that the Ravens have brought in for the last couple of years, sipping from the fountain of youth. If you're a Dafe Owe, who was banged up this week, missed some practice time, played less than 50% of the snaps on Sunday in Kansas City, is in the middle of a contract year and trying to come back from, and I should say stacked seasons after his first year as a double-digit sack getter. I can keep going, right? But
right, we got a lot of quiet guys.
There's no need for any more motivation, right? If you're David, thank you, Mars Madness. If you're David Ajabo, whose future is more than murky in Baltimore and has been plagued with injury and underperformance, you're going to be active today. If you're Keaton Mitchell, it's your first time this year being active. It's been due to a special teams role, essentially, that you're playing behind Rasheen Ali. Don't know how many snaps Keaton's going to get today, but what are you going to do? How are you going to make the most of them? If you're Cooper Rush, right? Are you getting the ball out of your hand quickly and decisively and using the middle part of the field with slants in the intermediate game? And is Todd Monken setting you up for success that way as well? We don't even need King Henry. We don't need to call on King Henry. We know what we're going to get out of him for the most part, aside from these weird, strange, outlier, fluky fumbles so far through 3 weeks, 2 of which have been backbreaking. I could keep going, but I think we understand what's at stake today. And the guys in that locker room do as well. The question becomes, knowing the list, the severity of the list, the significance of the list that you're seeing right now in terms of the inactives, is that going to be able to be overcome? I don't know.
Yeah, we got a lot of quiet guys that someone's going to have to speak up to get everybody to step up. And I think that's where we're at, is a lot of guys right now are very introverted, Oway, Ronnie Stanley. None of these guys are really big vocal guys. And this is a week where you needed Ray Lewis to kind of give everybody that pep talk, that speech. And we don't currently have somebody on the roster that does that consistently for them. So hopefully someone listens and through their play and through what they're doing on the field makes everyone else go, all right, we can do this. We have all the ability. We can play with these guys just same as we played with them in college. We're playing with them now on a Sunday. Go out and do the same thing you've been doing since you were 8 years old and just do it better than everybody else. That's what got you here. And now it's time, when these guys are at the same level as everyone else, your coaches have to give you the position to win. And if I see one prevent defense called by Orr, I'm going to be pissed because frankly, man, every week I have seen him go, all right, we're just going to rush one dude and drop a 10 back and still get burnt. Man, still get burnt on it. Like, that's where I'm like, what are you even doing with, like, you can't be possibly putting people in position if they're 30 yards off the line of scrimmage. That's just bad defense. So
I don't think we should overlook today what special teams and the type of impact that special teams could have. Again, these are two offenses. Well, the Ravens, I was going to say, that are scuffling. The Ravens are still a top 3 scoring offense through 4 weeks, so it feels weird to say that. But obviously, when they do scuffle, they scuffle significantly. And they did certainly last week, aside from that methodical, dominant, just variety-driven opening drive that Todd Monken executed, right, with Lamar and Derek, and Justice was involved in that as well, and Mark Andrews. And then after that, it was so damn quiet. But the reason why I bring up special teams is I think it's a good opportunity to just give, while he has struggled with some of his landing zone techniques on the kickoffs this year, Tyler Loop quietly putting together, as Sleeper Ravens put out here, a nice start to his rookie season. Okay, look at what he's done. He's 14 of 15 from an extra point standpoint, right? He's tied for first in field goal points. He's tied for 7th in overall points. He's converted from 52. Tyler's been off to a good start, and this could be one of those games today where they're leaning on their kicker if they can't finish and sustain drives. They've struggled in the red zone. Some of that has been due to usage. Some of that has been due to their inability to consistently convert on 3rd and really 4th and short.
Yeah.
And so you might be leaning on your rookie today at home.
Hey, Loop, there it is, man. All right. We got to be able to put points on the board at the end of the game. That's what matters. Is do you have more points than the other guy? It doesn't matter if it's by 3 or by 7. Let's get the points on the board, and especially having the backup that, rush in there, that's going to be very important for us. But I think there's enough times that Henry, Mitchell, or Hill, if they're given the ball 35 to 40 times split up between them in this game, I could see us being able to get 150 yards rushing. And if Rush can just give us 150 with quick passing game, play action, we obviously know the line's been bad, and now you're taking Stanley off there. Just keep it to 2 seconds or lower on the passing game, get bubble screens out there for Flowers, let Bateman do those crossers. He's great on the slants. And then if you do need to do a fade, you have Nuke Hopkins, who has been unstoppable for 12 years now in the league on that fade. Let him do what he does. You've got the pieces still there. It's all about put him in position, do the right coaching. I know I make it sound easier than it is because these are professionals on the other side. I will, I'm only 6'3", 240. I did make the comment earlier about Ricard. I'm one of those dudes that I'm a little bit taller than Ricard. I have a little bit bigger frame than him. Him holding 300 pounds for this many years, I just think it's time for him to call it quits. Your frame and your body can only take so much, and you put in that punishment from blocking dudes and getting run over and doing all that. They've got to be able to live in a world without Ricard blocking for him and still open holes for your running backs to be able to run through, whether it's I see right now this team needs to start running tosses and powers off the edge and just overload one side, but quit asking Falalele to move. The dude is good at going one direction. That's it. Don't ask him to go laterally and then go find work to do. He's not good at that. Like, if it was maybe some of your other guys, I could see it, but there's so many times I see Sunday in, Sunday out where they're not putting guys in position. So... But I need to get out of here.
I forgot, man. I forgot you had Pat Ricard beat, maybe not in the pound category there, but in the height category. And you mentioned Bateman, though. Rashad has had a really slow start to this season, okay? I have the statistics up so far in terms of the receiving leaders. And, of course, Zay leads the way with a couple signature games. He's got 23 receptions for 305 yards. He's been targeted 31 times. He has a touchdown. You see what he's done in terms of his efficiency and whatnot. And there's Rashad. Through 4 games, just 10 receptions on 17 targets for 112 yards, okay? Yes, he's averaging 11.2 per catch. Yes, he has a touchdown, but you got to get Rashad going. If you can get Rashad going, Zay is going to be there. Mark has shown up more than I think a lot would expect this season, given the slow start that he had last year and knowing all the offseason noise was surrounding him and engulfing everything that took place after he came up short in Buffalo. But if you can get Bateman going, like you said, some of those slants in the quick game, right? Dominate and open up the middle part of the field. That's going to allow Derrick Henry to get going as well. And some of that complementary football that they want to play today, given Cooper's lack of mobility. And this is going to be a different design for him. This is going to be a different game plan, a different scheme. And I don't know, could we see Tyler Huntley at some point today if their run game is struggling? He being under center or in the backfield might give the run game a little bit of a boost if they're struggling with Cooper. So that'll be something to look out for. And yeah, I think Cooper gives them the better chance to win, but running the football gives them the best chance to win. And that they might need a spark with Snoop at some point today.
If I see Snoop out there, I better have seen Mitchell get 12 carries, Henry with 20, where it's like, man, we've tried running this ball, and now we're just going to go ahead and Rush isn't doing what he needs to do. So then, yeah, sure, we'll go ahead and throw in Snoop. But I've seen enough Snoop over the years, and the fact that he was on the practice squad for the Browns to start out the season tells me everything I need to know, all right? The Browns started Joe Flacco and 2 rookies out there now, and you're telling me that Snoop couldn't beat those guys out. That's all I need to know.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. It's like I think people sometimes look back at the first stint of Tyler's with rose-colored glasses. because I
A
have the
lot of
numbers
love
up on
for him.
screen. Yeah, I think he's a great dude. I'm glad that his NFL career has continued. But look, I'm looking at the numbers right now. I mean, I compiled them up. He's been serviceable. I don't think he's
Yeah.
more than serviceable. And I think there's a big difference between the two. He's 3-6 in his stints with Baltimore, 64.6% completion rate, over 1,900 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Okay, 509 rushing yards, 4.4 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns. I just 3 rushing touchdowns, that is. I think Cooper manages the game more efficiently, right, than Snoop has in the past in Baltimore. And I think there's a reason why they went out and got him. And I'm shocked that Dallas let him go. Now, Dak, hopefully
Honestly,
for him, hopefully for Dak, he can stay healthy this upcoming season. But
Rush is
Cooper
more
gives you the
mobile than
best
people
chance to
give him
win.
credit for.
Yeah.
And honestly, he may only get sacked 2-3 times, which is probably more than we want. But if we have Huntley back there, man, he gets hunted by everybody else so bad. And it's the same thing with Lamar when he was early on. Just go ahead and throw an overload blitz. That frustrates him. He either is going to take the sack or he's going to throw you a pick. And everybody in the league already knows that. It's shown in Miami last year, Cleveland, things like that, where it's like it's not even just our system. I just see that with Huntley as a general fault and a flaw of his. But yeah, with Cooper Rush, he does tend to throw the ball away more. So again, you might have to limit him to like 25 attempts. Don't let him go out there and go, I'm going to throw it 50 times and be a mini Dak Prescott. We don't need that. We've got a solid enough run game, and we just need the O-line to push forward well enough, or at least open something up that we could get by and get through the Texans. Again, I think we only need to score 20 points to win this game. And honestly, my prediction is that we go 24-17 and we pull it out.
Oh, appreciate the call, brother. Stick your neck out there, my man. Enjoy that Oklahoma sun, Clint. Thanks for the call.
Thanks.
Later, dude. Guest lines are open. If you guys want to call in, share a thought in terms of what the Ravens are facing today, given the inactive list that just dropped a short while ago, please click on the link that's included right now as a pinned comment in the live chat. Judah, I love you. You really think that Snoop gives them the best chance to win? Here's the one thing I have. One of your comments here a minute ago, all caps. He says, Snoop is a better quarterback in this system, period. I think that's what maybe you're missing. The system is changing now that Cooper Rush is in. Whereas in the past, of course, stylistically speaking, they didn't have to change a lot schematically when Snoop was the primary backup in Baltimore. But this is going to be a different system in a sense. Some of the concepts, some of the pulling schemes, right? Some of that run game stuff will stay. But you're not running the same systematic offense that you are with Lamar. And so when you brought in Cooper, I think that was everything to do with what Todd Monken wanted and what, most importantly, Cooper put out on film over a 14-game sample size, filling in for Dak Prescott in recent years. I think Cooper gives them the best chance to win today. That doesn't mean that I don't think we won't see Snoop at all. I think there could be little gadgets, little wrinkles of him in the offense to sprinkle things in, to maybe spark them from a run game standpoint. This isn't to knock Snoop. It's about who gives them the best chance to win today in a must-have moment. This is a must-have moment for the 2025 Ravens, because while the Rams looked very beatable against Mac Jones and the San Francisco 49ers on Thursday Night Football, this is the game you got to get before the bye. Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, they're going to be coming in guns blazing next week to Baltimore because they got embarrassed on Thursday night against Shanahan and Mac Jones, who's probably going to get another opportunity to start in this league. Just under 10 minutes left to go in London. Cleveland at their own 40, 42, somewhere around there, trying to put together a drive. They lead the Minnesota Vikings 17-14 right now. Dylan Gabriel's first start as a pro in Cleveland. They benched Joe Flacco this week. The guest lines are open, guys. If you'd like to share a thought We're under an hour out from kickoff in Baltimore. And this week, as many of you watched unfold, there was a back and forth, somewhat, between Todd Monken and John Harbaugh. And what I mean by back and forth, I should probably pick a better choice of words. John Harbaugh straight up called out Todd Monken's play calling in multiple press conferences this week. Todd Monken, after many days of chatter, including on this show, we had Femi Ayam-Badejo on to talk about the perceived disconnect between the two. I thought Todd Monken got up there and not only shared clarity in terms of conversations that were had prior to those conferences being held by John Harbaugh behind the scenes, but also took accountability and did so in a very refreshing way. Todd Monken on the week that was.
Thing John said that we didn't already talk about. Not one thing, So there was nothing about that I hadn't already heard or that he didn't already feel. And one thing I've done throughout my career is that you got to look at what you do. And that's what I've done my whole career is, okay, how do we scheme it? How do we coach it? How do we execute it? How was our plan? All of those things when you go into it. And when it's below the line, you got to own it and fix it. And that's what you do. I mean, that's what we do as human beings, right? That's what I've always done my whole career. It's how I got to where I'm here now. There wasn't anything he said that wasn't, that we hadn't already talked about. So that's what you do. You look at it and you say, okay, was that good enough? The expectation here is to be elite, and we've been elite. We're going to continue to be elite. But I got to do it better. We got to do it better, and we'll continue to do it better.
All right. Todd Monken, again, a very refreshing answer after a very loud week in Baltimore. It's funny to have spent as much time as we did this week talking about the offensive side of the ball, knowing that the opposite has really been the Achilles heel. But at the same time, knowing the state of where this overall team is, they're going to need everything they can get from the offensive side of the ball today and moving forward. Jay Glazer reporting from Fox Sports a short while ago that Lamar has a, quote, outside shot. Again, quote, outside shot to play in week 6. That would be against the LA Rams, like I mentioned, coming up prior to a very early bye week that the Ravens so desperately need in week 7 prior to hosting the Chicago Bears in week 8, which is also at home. Guys, I think it's pretty clear. The Ravens need one of these next 2 games. And if Lamar thinks he can go and they lose today, do not be surprised if he gives it a go, gives it a shot next week against the Rams. They got to have it. More from Todd Monken on the feedback side of things when it comes to his relationship with John Harbaugh. And again, this continued trend of accountability, something we have not heard as much as I think a lot of us would like from the head coach.
I think people are a little bit surprised that the feedback is constant. The feedback during the week is constant. The feedback after games is constant, good and bad. That's part of what you do. Hopefully in any relationship or any job, you're getting immediate feedback and what we can do better, how we're seeing the game, right? And that's throughout the game, that's before the game, that's after the game. That's what you do. To me, that's winning football. That's what I love about Coach Harbaugh. And one thing he is going to confront, anything that gets in the way of winning football. That's a fact, okay? And everybody needs that, whether it's football. My wife does that to me. She confronts anything that gets in the way of us having a great relationship. And then what the hell do? You fight like hell to fix it. And that's what you do when it's damn important.
Confronting anything that gets in the way of winning football. That's what Todd Monken says he loves about John Harbaugh. And I know a lot of you had reactions all over the place related to those comments earlier this week. Well, one thing that they have to confront today is this inactive list and where you go from here. Everything is on the line today. Everything will be tested today. Coaching, discipline, depth, execution, resiliency, desire, want to, belief, leadership. Everything's going to be questioned today because of this list, because of where they stand overall as an organization in a star-studded conference through 4 weeks. Your all-pro, who has been anything but so far this year, aside from the Cleveland game, is out. meaning your green dot wearer is out defensively. Roquan Smith dealing with a hamstring. He will miss today's game and potentially multiple games moving forward. Cheeto Awuzie, one of your acquisitions this offseason, longtime AFC cornerback. He will miss his first game as a Raven. I think he's actually been a bright spot for them in the secondary. He's been your CB3. Not today. Lamar, of course, misses his first game of the season with a hamstring. It's a pause because I'm just reading my timeline right now that Teddy Buchanan has the green dot on his helmet. Okay, so now we know. It will likely be Ravens rookie linebacker out of Cal, a day 3 pick who has beat out Trenton Simpson for weak side starting linebacker in recent weeks alongside Roquan, will indeed serve as the main communicator and wearing the green dot defensively for Zach Orr's group today. It's a big moment for Teddy. It's a big moment for this defense, and that will absolutely be something I'm going to be watching closely. What does alignment look like? What does spacing look like? What do all 3 levels look like early on in this game? Yes, C. King, you heard that right. A rookie has been given green dot privileges, and in this case, it's a necessity because Roquan Smith is out and Kyle Hamilton, both ruled out of this game. Kyle popped up with a groin. It happened in Kansas City, lingered into the practice week. He was listed as questionable at the end of last week, but Kyle Hamilton will not go. Thank you, C. King, for the super chat. Guest lines are still open if you want to share a thought now that we know for sure that Teddy Buchanan will be the green dot wearer coming up today. He will be your defensive signal caller, and it will be communicated to him from the booth upstairs, from Zach Orr downstairs, I should say. No Pat Ricard for a 5th consecutive week. No Marlon Humphrey. Marlon has struggled, but I don't think you ever question that guy's resiliency, that guy's hard-hitting ability, his slot corner abilities. Yes, he's had some really tough assignments this year. Xavier Worthy made him look silly. Amon-Ra St. Brown made him look silly, but I get the sense that he's been banged up for a number of weeks now, and he always draws very difficult assignments. You know, in the midst of all this defensive talk and what they're going to do communication-wise, big chunk play for Minnesota. They're driving right now with over 5 minutes to go. Now ticking underneath 5 minutes in the fourth quarter. Cleveland hanging on to a 17-14 lead. Big chunk play for Carson Wentz and this Vikings team. It's actually their running back. So a lot happening in this London game. Again, Cleveland 1-3, trying to hold on to a 3-point lead right now, late in the fourth quarter. Let's ban this NFL gaming spam ass. But in the midst of all of this, the fact that Ronnie Stanley won't go with an ankle might actually be the biggest part of what we haven't discussed yet enough at length. Because that means Joe Noteboom, one of their free agents that they brought in this offseason to really kind of replace Patrick McCarry's swing tackle abilities. Now, remember, McCarry subbed in for Voorhees when he went down with an injury at left guard. Once that door opened last year, McCarry closed it and didn't look back. But Joe Noteboom, as we saw last week when Ronnie went down with that ankle, let's be honest. Let's be honest. This is going to be a challenge for this front. Knowing what Houston presents with Danielle Hunter, some of the relentlessness that he plays the game with, and the young gun, Will Anderson Jr. Oh, boy, this is going to be one of those dudes is going to be lining up over Noteboom, and I would think it's probably going to be Danielle more often than not. That's a tough assignment for Joe Noteboom. Expect as much chipping, as much help as you can get. Todd Monken, I would think, going to try and set up as much success as you possibly can for Joe Noteboom. He's going to need help there on that left-hand side. as is Roger on the opposite side, assuming that he's going to see a lot of Will Anderson Jr. Remember, he's the left defensive end. And these guards are going to see those guys as well. Make no mistake about it. It's tough assignments across the board right now. But again, as thin as they are defensively, knowing the issue that pass pro has been so far this year, and knowing the lack of mobility that Cooper unfortunately just was not gifted with, and knowing some of the weaknesses that have been minimized and masked by Lamar and his ability to escape the pocket and extend plays, and that not being the case here, I got news for you. I think it's going to be very difficult to move the football effectively. Lamar's been sacked 15 times through 4 games. He was sacked 23 times all of last year. Guys, I need 2 tight ends on the field at all times. And as much as you want to see Isaiah Likely get his first target of this 2025 season, they're going to need Mark, Isaiah, and Charlie to block their asses off today. Because that's the type of challenge, given what they have in pass pro or lack thereof so far this year, that Cooper Rush and this offensive attack is looking at right now. Be more Vince with a super chat. What happens if the defense plays better without Rowe and Marlowe? Then we're going to be having a conversation, aren't we? Yes, we will. We are going to be having a conversation 4 or 5 hours from right now. Thanks, Vince. Hope you're enjoying the start to your game day. Sergeant Knight says, hello, Ravens. Hello, Ravens in German. Hello, Ravens. Excuse me. Oh, hello, Ravens. How do you pronounce that, Sergeant? LFG. Appreciate you. A German well wish. I do appreciate that on this Sunday. And you also know that I appreciate when we get tags on social media from people like Lewis, who are rocking their game day attire, courtesy of the vaultpod.com/shop. Lewis tweeting out, love that white polo right there, tagging Sarah and I earlier this afternoon. The vaultpod.com/shop. A lot of golf polos like Lewis's can easily be found at the vaultpod.com/shop. Again, appreciate you, Lewis. Hope you're having an awesome start to the day, despite reality, which is where this list comes into play. On a day where the Ravens are going to need everything they can get from those who are available. Thanks to MyBookie for sponsoring the program this football season. College football, what a weekend it was. Can you believe Penn State lost? Holy shit. Penn State lost as a 24.5-point favorite to UCLA. That's 2 consecutive losses for James Franklin. Did you guys watch that yesterday? And then Florida beat Texas. What a week it's been. What a college football season it's been so far. Upsets, blowouts, wild covers. MyBookie lets you hit it all. Game lines, player props, and more. Everything you need before the pros even kick off. When Sunday rolls around, you are already up, and that's where we are right now. It is Sunday. It is week 5. If you're new to MyBookie, use my code BobbyB. That's BOBBYB. You can win big on the NFL Super Contest and Survivor pools that they got going on at MyBookie. Any bet you choose up to $500 is fully covered. You can make your play, and if it doesn't hit, you get it right back when you opt in using your Bet Back bonus token. Again, that is code BobbyB, BOBBYB. Any bet you choose up to $500 is fully covered. And do me and yourself and those around you a favor. If you're struggling, pick up the phone, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-522-4700. Thanks to all my sponsors for the continued support. Just over 30 minutes out from the start of kickoff here in week 5. Cleveland punting away to the Vikings. Did they go 3 and out, guys? I've been multitasking. Carson Wentz and company will be starting inside their 20. It's 17-14. Cleveland trying to win Dylan Gabriel's first career start in London. And again, the Browns are 1-3 right now. So they still have a lot, obviously, to play for. So, yeah, that's where things stand today, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get myself some lunch, let Tilly out, and get ready for this 1 o'clock kickoff inside the bank. Their backs are against the wall. I think it's pretty clear what's at stake today, given what is on the screen right now. And as much as I want you to follow along with me for my in-game tweets at Bobby Baltimore on Twitter, I hope you'll consider joining the Bobby Baltimore Discord server as well. We're coming up on 1,000 members, and there is already chatter, as there has been all morning long. Looks like T Plus hanging out at the Landing, the Ravens' new bar. Cool spot. It's a 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports. And you can join by clicking on the link that I'm dropping into the live chat right now. It is free. And again, we are under 40 members out from 1,000. Dre Dog showing some love for Teddy Buchanan. Again, he will be the green dot wearer. Yes, Justin Tucker is gearing up for his potential return after serving his suspension next month. Tom Pelissero broke some news on that earlier. James wants Villanueva. Alejandro Villanueva. I think that's probably sarcasm and maybe a state of where this is right now, morale-wise. And yes, I know some of you wanted me to follow up on this from yesterday. How strange is the Mark Sanchez situation? What the hell? It went from him being stabbed and being viewed as the victim to facing multiple demeanors. Yes, innocent until proven guilty, as this statement here from the Indianapolis, or I guess this is, what statement is this? From Indianapolis police. He was in town to call the Colts game today. Ended up being stabbed, but it sure looks like there was some intoxication here. Unlawful entry of a motor vehicle. Battery with injury. Public intoxication. What the hell? He goes from being the victim to potentially being in the wrong here. So we'll see how things go. That was very strange. Glad he survived the stabbing, of course, but I think there's a lot more conversation and a lot more to learn here before you can ultimately place blame. So, yeah, that was quite the turnaround. Very surprising. Looks like we got a new member. Quantum Waves, welcome. Welcome to the Discord community. 964 members and counting. And a lot of chatter coming up, including T Plus here talking about the defensive lineup, at least projected defensive lineup. Dre Dog says the video of the fight is out there. I have not yet seen that. You know, I'm going to be Twitter searching that once I finish things up. C King with a super chat on the way out. He says Todd needs to stop monkeying around. Run the ball. Let the king be the king, right? That's all he's been, baby, in 15 career games against these Houston Texans. He has dominated Houston. But it's a different offensive line than the one in Tennessee. I'm not saying the Titans has been a stout offensive line for him over the years. But they are facing a very, very significant uphill battle today against not the Cleveland Browns. I'm watching the Browns football over my ring light right now in London. They're trying to put the finishing touches on this game against the Vikings. So off we go. Appreciate you guys, as always, for all the support. Thanks for spending part of your pregame Sunday with me. Sarah and I will be back with you probably around 5 o'clock or so. And off we go. Kyle Van Noy will be back, by the way. He will start for the Ravens defense at outside linebacker, as will Tavius Robinson. Travis Jones, John Jenkins, and Brent Urban have been starting in the interior for the Ravens defense in warmups, according to Jeff Zrebeck. Teddy Buchanan and Trenton Simpson, inside linebackers. Wiggins, Tampa, Keon as corners, and Malachi and Ruben Lowry on the back end. That's interesting. Ruben Lowry over Sanusi Kane. Am I seeing that correctly? Sure looks like it. Oh boy, buckle up, guys. Buckle up. It's going to be a long day. Enjoy it. Sarah and I will catch up with you post-game. If you could like the video on the way out, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and let's go watch the last 2 minutes of this Vikings-Browns game. Sure looks like Minnesota is going to have a chance to win it, or at least tie it here in the game's closing moments. Thanks to Prophet X, MyBookie, and of course my longest-standing partnership, Preston Automotive Group, for continuing to power this channel. And thanks to you guys for spending some time with me today. I'll catch up with you soon.